Dear brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus, I am indeed happy to meet you all once again through this short reflection. Today is the 19th Sunday of Ordinary Season. Today I would like to reflect with you all, making a comparison between the first reading and the Gospel of today. The first reading is taken from the book of 1 Kings, where we find Prophet Elijah runs to the mountain in order to get support from God, help from God. And in the Gospel we see, before Jesus walking on the water, Jesus goes up to the mountain alone to pray and to be union with God. Therefore, Prophet Elijah as well as Jesus, both of them went to the mountain. Whereas the difference here is, Prophet Elijah went out of fear, whereas Jesus went out of love. Therefore, we find some similarities between these two readings. The first similarity is fear. The element of fear we find in both the readings. In the first reading, Prophet Elijah was afraid of Queen Jezebel. Therefore, he went to the mountain and hid himself in the cave. Whereas in the Gospel we see the disciples were afraid when they saw Jesus was walking on the water. They thought it was a ghost. Therefore, in both the readings, the element of fear we can find. As we reflect on the element fear, I remembered of a beautiful passage on fear, which we read from the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verse 10, which says, "The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom." Therefore, the fear is not something wrong or something negative. We need to have fear, but not fear of human beings or earthly things. We need to have fear of God. This fear will make us more compassionate, more loving, more merciful and reverent towards God. The second similarity or the common element we find in these two readings is silence. In the first reading, we see Prophet Elijah was not able to find God's presence neither in a heavy storm, earthquake, nor fire. He was able to find the presence of God in the silence. Likewise, in the Gospel of today, we see as soon as Jesus got into the boat, there was silence, calm, and quietness. Therefore, we know silence is an important aspect in everyone's life. Once Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta beautifully said, "We need to find God, and He cannot be found in noise or restlessness, because God is the friend of silence." Look at the nature, the grass, the trees, the plants, how they grow in silence. Look at the sky, the stars, the moon, the sun, they all move in silence. Even look at our own heartbeat, how it functions in silence. Therefore, we the Christians, we the believers, we should have the habit of spending time in silence. As we are in 21st century, you and I are so happy and comfortable living among the noise. We are so frightened to spend time in silence, because when we spend time in silence, we become more aware of our own selves. Sometimes we are even questioned by our own conscience. Therefore, today the readings are inviting us to spend time in silence and be in union with God. The third and the final similarity or common element we find in these two readings is God's unconditional love, God's helping hand. In the first reading, we see Prophet Elijah was afraid of Queen Jezebel and ran to the mountain to hide himself in the cave. There came God Yahweh, who gave the comforting words, consoling words, and gave the assurance, "Go back, I am with you." In the gospel of today we see when the disciples were at the difficult situation, Jesus came and said, "Take heart, it is I." Therefore, you, my dear brothers and sisters, we the children of God, never ever we should give up our faith in the providence of God. God never leave us alone when we struggle, when we go through pain and suffering. Therefore, today's readings are inviting us to learn something for our life. Mainly three things. Firstly, we need to have fear of God. Secondly, we should spend time in silence in order to be united with God. And thirdly, we have to place total trust in the providence of God. Therefore, once again, I wish you all happy Sunday and wonderful week ahead, and may God bless us all.